even from the most intense blazes. Perhaps the greatest vulnerability in the home ignition zone is the threat posed by firebrands. Jack was first introduced to the importance of firebrands igniting homes in 1977 as a young research scientist in Paddy Canyon, Montana.
Initially, we could begin to see just a little bit of flame over this ridge, and at the same time could see some of the firebrand ignitions, those spot ignitions from the burning embers that were coming out of this fire, beginning to ignite on this hillside.
The intense heat of a fire on the ridge generated swirling winds that carried and dropped burning embers on homes far in advance of the flames.
We were right here on this road, so we were fairly close to this crown fire, a couple of 100 feet from this crown fire, and yet the radiation wasn't so intense to where it would have ignited the wood walls, because we're more vulnerable to the heat than what wood walls are. But there was this tremendous blizzard of burning embers coming out of this intense fire.
Severe wildfires commonly generate firebrand blizzards. Like the Paddy Canyon fire, these blazes quickly race out of control. Firebrands are swept along fast-moving currents and deposited onto homes ahead of the fire, causing them to burn to the ground, even though the crown fire never came near them. Because firebrands are so small, we tend to ignore them and instead focus on the large flames.
Ironically, we tend to pay a lot of attention to the flames that can be relatively close to the home and not ignite it, and ignore those things that don't bother us very much. Oh, they're highly inconvenient. If you're caught in an ember blizzard, having these embers on the back of your neck or burning small holes in your clothes is obviously not, a great experience, but it's not mortally threatening to us. And yet, this blizzard of firebrands can, just like snow, begin to collect and pile up in certain locations around the house.
Our intuitions belie the truth. A tiny firebrand can be more devastating than a raging crown fire. But that doesn't mean that homeowners are helpless. If we consider a house as fuel and reduce the flammability of materials on and near it, we can protect against firebrands igniting our home. Vigilance begins with the roof, the most vulnerable part of the home to firebrands. The most flammable roofs, not surprisingly, are constructed of wooden shingles. Firebrands that land on or between the shingles can easily ignite the structure. To find safer, less flammable materials, Jack has conducted experiments on composition shingle roofs.
What I did was to pile pine needles. Actually, a lot of us gathered pine needles and put them on the roof to a depth of about 1.5 inches, and then we ignited it to demonstrate that the roof wouldn't ignite. It's somewhat dramatic to watch a surface fire spreading across a roof. It tends to be counterintuitive to our expectations, but you find that composition shingles just don't carry fire.
Experiments have also been conducted on siding and deck materials.
I'm looking at materials, for example, exterior plywood, wall siding, and wood decking that always ignite from the firebrands that I deposit on the deck. And then I look at other materials to see how they compare with regard to ignitions.
Initial results have determined that fiber cement siding has proven to be non-flammable. Still, other areas around a home are vulnerable to catching fire. Any gaps or cracks in a structure, or any place where combustible materials or firebrands can gather, are ideal for